Frank and Lee, and Phil's Oyster Bar since 1950 on Government Street to now in the South Downs Shopping Center.
Do you need to enhance your backyard patio or pool area? Got Lit Lights has you covered. Whether it's a wedding, private event, or a simple way to illuminate your landscape, we've got the expertise to bring your vision to life. Visit GotLitLights.com because everything looks better when it's lit.
Why do billion-dollar insurance companies regularly delay and deny valid claims? Because that's how they got to be billion-dollar insurance companies. If you've been injured, I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7969.
WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan. LA 21 12681. Offices in Baton. Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Thursday. Means we're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Beef. Got Jordan Kitchens and Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. Fired up. You were here with us working towards the weekend. Really working towards the weekend for me because I'm ducking out once again tomorrow. That's wife's orders that I'm out tomorrow. Last week was vacation. Tomorrow is vacation, but it's Jazz Fest. Not my favorite place on earth. One of my wife's favorite places on earth, so we'll be there tomorrow. So I will leave you for the week after the next 2 hours. So let's get after it over the next 2 hours. We got tons to do in 15 minutes. As usual, we'll talk to Luke Johnson about the Saints draft and specifically really what's going on with Derek Carr, because I haven't gotten deep into that this week because I don't have as great a perspective as someone like Luke does who covers the team. So we'll talk to Luke about that in 15 minutes. Joe Healy at the bottom of the hour getting you ready for a weekend of SEC baseball. Texas and Arkansas will play tonight. I'll be locked into that one. Pulling for Texas. I think the Longhorns are far enough ahead of LSU. Just let them run. We're trying to knock other teams back. Arkansas is one of those, so we'll see what Joe thinks about that one. Matt McMahon in the basketball program added a transfer portal. I'll get into LSU's baseball resume. Chris Blair will join us from College Station. So plenty to do. Let's get things started the way we do every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Let me put this pretty clearly here. LSU goes to College Station tomorrow to start a 3-game set, and I'm going to preview that today because I'm not going to be here tomorrow. If LSU sweeps 3 games in College Station, the Tigers are on easy street towards the top 8 national seed. You already know that, but if you get to 17 wins and 7 losses, you're in great shape for the last 2 weeks. You just got to even less than tread water. You can take some water on, and you're fine. LSU goes to College Station and wins 2 out of 3. They're a strong favorite to be a national seed. I think they need to win one of the next 2 series at Texas A&M or Arkansas at home. You win 2, you're in good shape. You just get 1, you're okay. You got to put your foot on the gas a little bit as you get through the last 2 weekends with South Carolina looming at the end there, but you're okay. You can't get swept. You get swept, you're in a big bind. You can get out of it, but you're in a big bind. Like, that's the gamut that you're running here. That doesn't really apply March 24th. It does May 1st and starting the series on May 2nd. That's what you're playing for here. And Texas A&M is in the same spot here. Like, A&M needs to win 2 out of 3 this weekend. They have to win a game. If LSU goes to College Station and sweeps Texas A&M, their season is over, and Michael Early's tenure as the head coach at Texas A&M is over. So there's a lot on the line for both of these schools in very different ways. So let's kind of get into what I expect. I've watched Texas A&M play a ton of baseball this year, a ton of baseball. And because they've got so many guys that have been there for 2 and 3 years, I'm as familiar with this baseball team as I am of any team outside of LSU in the Southeastern Conference. And I will tell you this, it is a good baseball team. Like, their results are not good, their statistics are not good, and you could bend that and say, well, they're not any good. I would push back on that because if you're not any good, you can't go to Knoxville and annihilate Tennessee in 2 games. You cannot go to Fayetteville and win 2 out of 3. Like, if you're not any good, you can't do that. They got a layup. South Carolina came to College Station. They actually should have lost one of the games in that series. They trailed by 9 in one of those games. They trailed by 6 entering the 9th inning of one of those games. Hit multiple grand slams in the 9th inning and won it. But Texas A&M has really good players. I think their coach is way out over his skis. They made a reactionary hire based on trying to keep the core together. I listen to Michael Early talk, and I go, how could anyone ever give that guy the head job at this point in his coaching career? But nonetheless, he is the head coach there, and he may grow up, and they may keep him around, and he may become a really good coach at Texas A&M. I'm not inspired at all when I listen to him talk. I do look at the team he's got on the field. They're very good. And you could look at last weekend and go, well, they went to Austin and they got swept. And that is absolutely true. They played well last weekend. I watched a lot of 2 of those games. They played well. They got beat by Texas, who's 19-2 in the league. 19-2 in the league by 1 run, 3 straight games in Austin. They played good baseball. They lost all the games. And this is a results-oriented business. It's all anybody cares about. Nobody cares if you played well or if you played poorly and won. They only care what the result is. And the result was bad, so it's bad. But this is an A&M team that is intimidating to an extent based on the talent level, at least as I analyze the situation. We start on the mound with Texas A&M. Tomorrow you're going to see Ryan Prager on the bump. Ryan Prager has been at the front of this rotation for a couple of years now, and really the better part of 3 years. He's been terrible this year. By his standards, he's been terrible. He was an early round draft pick of the Angels last year. Once you're drafted in the first 10 rounds, and I think he's a 3rd round pick, once you're taken, you're supposed to go. You've got a number agreed to, you jump. Because it's not as if a team drafts you in the 3rd round and you don't sign, so they just move your money elsewhere to go sign somebody else. If they draft you at that slot and you don't sign, they lose the money. It's gone. So this was a surprise when he decided to come back. And he did so because he wanted to win a national title. He's a sharp kid, got a great head on his shoulders, had a phenomenal postseason last year, especially in Omaha, was great. And A&M put together a really good NIL package for him, and he blew the Angels off. But in SEC play this year, his ERA is over 6. And he has kind of gotten lit up. That's poor use of the language there. He's gotten lit up more often than not in SEC games. You look at some of the starts previous to Texas, and you'll kind of see what I'm saying here. I mean, because he's getting tagged time in and time out. Alabama got him for 4 earned. Vanderbilt got him for 4 earned. Kentucky got him for 6 earned in 3 innings. Decent outing at Tennessee, a 5 2/3, 3 earned runs, but he did give up 6 runs total and 9 hits in that 5 2/3. South Carolina's not any good at all. They got 6 runs on him in 6 2/3. Arkansas scored 4 in 4 innings. You get the point. He's not doing a good job. Last weekend at Texas, 5 2/3, 1-run ball. Pretty solid effort from Ryan Prager in that spot. He is an easy scout. He's a tough at bat, if that makes sense. Because Prager doesn't blow anybody away. His fastball in the 3rd and 4th inning tomorrow, if he's still around, is going to be 88 miles an hour. And you're going, 88 miles an hour? What? Nobody does that. Nobody does that anymore. That's correct. Prager does. He throws a pretty good breaking ball. He's got good command, and he's going to throw it away, away, away. He's going to face a ton of right-handers. He'll go away, 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 and then he'll flip that little changeup that looks like the 88-mile-an-hour fastball, and it falls off the table, and you can swing over the top of it. Or he'll elevate the 88-mile-an-hour fastball, and you think that's going to be a breaking ball, and then you're tardy on it. And that's the way he's gotten outs. And he didn't throw any harder last year, and he was brilliant in Omaha. But that's who LSU is going to see tomorrow. They've seen him before, and they'll see him again. You're going to see on Saturday Justin Lampkin, who looks a little bit like Ryan Prager. They're the same build, same size, both left-handed, but Lampkin throws harder, and Lampkin has had a better year than Ryan Prager to this point. You look in league games, Justin Lampkin thus far this year is 2-4, which is not a great win-loss record, but an ERA under 5, so a 1.5 better than Ryan Prager's. He has struck out 36 in 38 innings. Prager's strikeout numbers 27 in 39 innings. So Prager's looking for weak contact. Lampton will come at you a little bit more. But those are the 2 left-handers on the front of the LSU rotation, of the A&M rotation. The Tigers, to this point, are 15-2 when they face left-handed starting pitching. They've done a pretty good job of that. Now, one of those wins was against Liam Doyle last week, and they didn't hit him at all. So you understand what we're talking about here, that number can be a little bit deceiving based on what you do when the bullpen gets into the game. And A&M's bullpen is okay. They'll go to Weston Moss in big spots. He's had a great year for him. He's the guy. He and Caden Wilson come in more than anybody. But A&M's pitching staff is not loaded with talent. It's solid. The lineup is loaded with talent. It has not been solid. You look at Jace Laviolette this year in conference play, he's hitting .292. That's very respectable. It's not representative of the hitter that he can be, which is literally like he might be the first pick in the draft. His last 4 games, he's got 1 total hit. He's striking out a lot. He just hasn't been what they thought he would be this year. Caden Sorrell is probably going to be a top 5 pick in the draft next year. He also hits left-handed. He's really, really good. Caden Kent had some dramatic moments in Omaha when Braden Montgomery went down last year. He's a guy that went into the transfer portal. LSU thought they had a chance to land him. He's played shortstop for him. He's hitting .238 in league play. He's probably a better hitter than that. The guy that's been a little bit surprising for them thus far has been Terrence Keel, the freshman outfielder, who's probably going to hit atop the lineup and is super fast and athletic. Here's the deal with Cade Anderson tomorrow in the game. Cade Anderson is great. He's been awesome. I was listening to TexAg's interview yesterday. Ryan Brauninger, who does an awesome job covering baseball for TexAgs, said he spoke with a scout, and Brawny played college baseball at McNeese. He's really connected in baseball circles, and they said that when they look at Cade Anderson, they look at a guy who is probably the best left-handed pitcher in the country this year. Now, that includes Liam Doyle and Jamie Arnold, so it's very, very, very high praise for Cade Anderson. But what's the big issue with Cade Anderson? Homers. And in that ballpark, this time of year, with that lineup, homers can be a problem. And one thing that's been very, very difficult to reason with is that Cade Anderson has given up a lot of home runs to left-handed hitters. And that's unusual for a left-handed pitcher with as good a stuff as he has. So that's the biggest thing in the game tomorrow. I think LSU should be able to do some work against Ryan Prager. Everyone else has, and his stuff, just quite frankly, is not Liam Doyle. It's not Marcus Phillips. It's not Kyson Witherspoon. It's not Jared Spencer. It's not Pico. It's not any of those guys' stuff. He's a good pitcher, but he hasn't had a good year, and he doesn't throw very hard, and he relies on locating everything. I think LSU is going to push some runs across. They may not score 6 in the first 4 innings, but I think they're going to push some runs across. The deal for Cade Anderson is don't let him hit the ball out of the ballpark for big 3-run swings. He's got to focus on every single pitch. And if he can do that, I think LSU will be in good shape. But if he allows that ballpark to get rocking a little bit, it can be a bit of an issue. Texas A&M, more so than maybe any other team in the conference, and I say that with a lot of love in my heart for purple and gold over here, they are going to respond, their fan base, to a struggling baseball team maybe better than anybody because they're just that ingrained in the whole deal, and they want it so bad, and they still feel like there's talent on this team, and they're one of the most loyal fan bases in all of college sports. It just is what it is. And you can say bad things about them. I do all the time. I say some good things about them as well because I respect their loyalty. They're going to be there tomorrow night. They're going to be there on Saturday. They're going to be there on Sunday, and they're going to be trying to will their team into the postseason because most people over there in College Station believe if they can get this team to a regional, just send them out to Corvallis, send them to Clemson, send them wherever. They've got a chance to break through on the weekend and make a push of this thing. It's very similar to the way Florida played last year, where they were probably worse than LSU all year, got sent up to Oklahoma State, won a regional, won a super, and then ended up in Omaha, and were in the Final Four after finishing well under 500 in league play. So that's what A&M is trying to fight for, and that crowd's going to be good. The best way to get them energized, and here's something negative about them, they'll blow all those bubbles, which is very childish and very dumb. One of the worst superstitions in traditions in the SEC is blowing the bubbles over there in College Station. They will do it, and they'll get fired up if you let them hit the ball out of the ballpark. Cade Anderson's got to keep the ball in the yard against Texas A&M. So we'll talk more about this series with Joe Healy. We'll talk more about it with Chris Blair. I'll give you my thoughts on it at the end of the show as well. But just because A&M's had a bad start, just because they got swept last weekend, I watch them a lot. And they've got guys that are going to be drafted in the top 5 in the drafts. They've got guys who have been in Omaha. They've got guys that can hit. They're going to come to play with their backs against the wall. LSU's better than Texas A&M this year, but it's in College Station. It's going to be a heck of a matchup between those two teams coming up this weekend, starting tomorrow night. So that's our Genesis opening drive here on this Thursday. We're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Beef. Take a time out. Come back with Luke Johnson next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Love telling you about Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is where you can find them. Every car that is on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. If you don't love going to the car dealership, I understand that. Stereotypes exist for a reason. For decades, it has been at times a not pleasant experience, should we say. That's never going to be the case at Genesis of Baton Rouge because they take a lot of pride in their customer service. They take a lot of pride in their brand ambassadors. They take a lot of pride in the way that they handle themselves when you're a guest at their dealership. It's not a customer. It's a guest. You'll experience that when you go see the folks at Genesis of Baton Rouge. You've probably never been behind the wheel of a Genesis. Get behind the wheel and test drive. If you don't want to go to the dealership, they'll come to you. Valet test driving. To your office, just take a spin around at lunch. To your home, take a spin around right after work. Either way, you can make that happen remotely, and you'll see the difference when you get behind the wheel of a Genesis. Start your buying process today at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. They're in Baton Rouge, airline at Pico, but you can always go to GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Chat with Joe Healy, D1 Baseball, covering the SEC weekend to come here in about 15 minutes. Now we visit with Luke Johnson from The Advocate, covers the New Orleans Saints. Luke, thanks for the time. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Always a pleasure coming on with you, Hunt.
Always a pleasure for me as well. Can we start talking about Derek Carr here? I kind of just want to make this as open-ended as possible, but between the kind of the mystery with the fan base, between the church service, the car reviews, drafting a quarterback, like, where are we here?
Oh man, I wish I had just like such a concrete answer because I'm so sick of dealing with this.
Yep.
I just think that they're clearly headed for a divorce. I think it's just a matter of when. This whole thing has just been so bizarre. There was like the kind of lukewarm take from Kellen Moore in his intro press conference, and then we hear nothing from Derek Carr, and then April 11th the news comes out that he might be done for the year with a shoulder injury, and then they're not talking about it at all. And I don't know. Like it feels like there's such a small chance that he's really even part of the team's immediate future plans, but there is still a chance that like week one rolls around and like he's found a non-surgical option and he's their starting quarterback. But like, I mean, at this stage, like I just don't know, like why would the Saints even want to entertain that? I think they're clearly ready to move on. I think their fan base is obviously ready to move on, even if I don't necessarily agree with a lot of people's take that he's just been awful since he's been here. I think he's been fine, but I think people have kind of turned against him for reasons other than his play, like specifically. So I don't know, man. There doesn't look to be like a realistic path for this to be like something that they want to stick together. This feels like it's reached its end point.
This may be the worst question I've asked in the history of the show, but I'll just toss it out there.
I'm so ready for it.
Does it matter that if the Saints send him out there for the first drive of the season, the entire Superdome's going to boo? Like, does it matter that the whole fan base is completely put out with him at all?
Probably, right? I mean, I think they know. I think they've got to know that nobody in the fan base can stand them.
Yeah.
And I think that stuff does matter. And I honestly don't think that there's even like a chance that like, Kellen Moore's this genius and he gets the best season out of Derek Carr in his history and they make the playoffs. I still think people around here would be ready to like kick him to the road. I think it's just like beyond repair at this point. And the Saints have to know that. And I think it does matter. I don't know how much like the fan dissatisfaction with just the organization writ large, but like mainly Derek Carr has like actually like impacted their finances, right? And with the public perception being so against him, if that has at all moved the needle with their decision makers, but like it feels like it has to a little bit. Right, this is the biggest show in the state, football wise. But like, I don't know, like,
yeah.
It's really, it's just tough to answer, man. Like, I wish I had like all the answers for this stuff, but it's like such a train wreck, and you could see it going any number of ways. Like, you could see that really mattering to people like Dennis Lauscha, right, the team president, and the people on the business side of things. I don't think they have like a lot of influence over like the football aspect of it, but like, I do think it's important that they start getting the fans back on their side because it has really turned against them in the last couple of years.
No question. This is probably more answerable for you. Could you have seen this coming last August or like sense that there could be a fracture between the team and Derek Carr, the fan base and Derek Carr? Or is this a bit of a surprise how quickly it's gone this far south?
Yeah, I think so. I think we were talking about this last March about whether they were even going to bring him back. Just because the first year was so disappointing. So yeah, like I think there was always going to be a point where you could see this going south. I don't know if I could have seen like this bad, right? Where we're like in May talking about whether he's even going to play or like how this even happened and having no answers about it. Like that part's just been so weird, but it's been kind of off since like the beginning. And, some of that I don't think is really his fault. And some of it is very much his fault. I think some of the messaging from his side of things has just been strange. Like the car commercial thing. Like, what the hell are you doing, man?
Yeah.
And like, I'm not gonna like knock somebody for going out and saying their side of the story to their congregation or whatever, but that was weird too. Like, I don't know. This whole thing has just been like, there's nothing that he's done to like improve his standing as much as he's tried.
So what can the Saints do here as far as an off-ramp goes? He's on the team. There's not much else to talk about. But I wouldn't imagine you're not in the trade market there. Is there a time to cut him June 1? What's the most reasonable thing to do now that you've drafted a quarterback and you've got 2 others on your roster?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, yeah, it just kind of feels like it's heading toward like, he gets surgery to get right and prepare himself for the 2026 season, at which point, he'll be 35. Like, I don't know what kind of interest. Like, it's a weird timing for him career-wise to be like, I'm just going to punt him here. He doesn't have a lot of years left as an NFL quarterback. And frankly, I just have no idea what the interest level would be in him after this whole saga. But like, that's like where it feels like it's heading, right? Like, it feels like there's a very good chance that he never suits up in the Saints uniform again, and the Saints are just like, yeah, we got Tyler Shuck in the second round, and you know what? If this doesn't work out with Tyler Shuck, like, and we suck this year, we invested a second round pick in him, like number 40 overall. It's not going to stop him from drafting Garrett Nussmeier or Drew Aller next year, So like, I just think that to me feels like the most logical conclusion. And I could look like an idiot in 3 months. You just never know how this is going to play out. It's been so weird, but it just really, like, it's hard to see this being a situation where he ends up being the quarterback of the Saints at any point in the near future.
I would agree with that. Yeah, and you're looking at just a lot of stuff behind closed doors. It's hard to handicap. How would you handicap Tyler Shuck versus Spencer Rattler if those are the 2 guys that head to training camp?
Well, I would definitely put the favor in Shuck's court. Like, first-year coach drafts a quarterback with his second pick that he's ever made as a coach. Like, we see this all the time where new regimes come in and they get their guys, and it would surprise me to see like if they had a position battle and even if it's like fairly even, it would surprise me if they went with Rattler over Shuck. But like, I don't think we can completely discount the idea of Rattler ending up being the guy. Obviously it was disappointing last year, 0-6 in his starts, 0-7 in games he played. But like, I also don't think we can just like wave off the fact that he was playing with like an arena football team, like a terrible offensive line in front of him, like literal off the street wide receiver signings, catching balls from him. I think I want to see what he could do with like the full components of the Saints offense. But like, I still think that if it comes down to a battle between them, it's going to be very hard for the Saints to pick Rattler over Shuck. This regime wants to see what he can do, and I think he's got the tools to come in and really play right away. I think that's one of the benefits to drafting a guy with his experience level, a guy who's played in pro-style offenses. Like, he's going to be more ready than your typical rookie quarterback. So that's kind of fully what I'm expecting there.
Luke, we appreciate some time, man. We'll talk next week.
Sounds good, man. Talk to you soon.
He is Luke Johnson of The Advocate, covering the Saints at @ByLukeJohnson on Twitter if you'd like to follow for all your Saints content. He's with us every single Thursday here on the Hunt Palmer Show. You know who else is with us on Thursday? Sagrera Farm Premium Beef. I was chatting with our guy Sean Sagrera earlier today. They got some really exciting stuff going on just north of Baton Rouge, about 30 miles from Baton Rouge, and you're going to want to hear about it if you like beef. And I think most of you like beef. When you think about intramuscular fat scores, if you're looking at a 4 or below, you're looking at select. You're looking between 4 and 8, you're looking at choice. 9% on the intramuscular fat and better is prime. That's the best of the best. Sean has cattle that they had a vet come out this week and look at. You're looking at scores. Look, remember, 9 is prime. 12, 14, 17, 18. I'm telling you, this is the top 1% of the beef in America, and it's right here just outside Baton Rouge. If you'd like a change of pace from just heading down the street to grab some ground beef, get some flank steak, get some ribeyes, fillets for the family, you'd like a little different experience because you're not happy with what you're getting, Sagrera Farms can help you with that. It's a phenomenal experience. You go up to the farm, you can look in the freezer, you can look at the marbling, look at the steaks you're going to get, and bring them on home and put them in the freezer. I invite you to call Sean. Give him a call. You're calling Sean Sagrera of Sagrera Farms to get your beef for grilling season. It's here. It's spring. It's time to be outside on the grill. Give Sean a call, 719-1723. That's 719-1723. This is truly a hidden gem. We tell you about them every single Thursday, and we certainly appreciate their partnership with the show. It's Sagrera Farms Premium Beef. Give Sean a call, 719-1723. We'll come back with Joe Healy talking a little bit of SEC baseball. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday shows brought to you by Sagrera Farms. Think farms? You think cowbells? Got some news in cowbell land in Starkville early this week. Chris Lemonis let go. First national championship in any sport in school history, and he's out the door just a handful of years later. Talk about it with Joe Healy, SEC Extra Team over at D1 Baseball. He's with us every Thursday. Joe, thanks for the time. How are you?
Doing well, Hunt. Certainly, doing a lot better than some folks down in Starkville these days, but I guess that's the way it goes.
Just such an odd deal where you thought that after two just incredible years in his first three where they won 50 games, won a national championship, and just never got it back on track. Why do you think?
Yeah, it is tricky because I have to admit, when they won that national title, I thought, man, this program is off like a rocket right now because they had just finished the new dude, right? And so it's like, okay, they got the new ballpark and just won a national title, and man, they're really rolling right now. And, just 5 years later or whatever, 4 years later, it's a different deal. So I think there's a couple of things here. One is that in today's world, the palace of a stadium, which Dudy Noble is, and the fan support isn't as important as it used to be. Still important, still have to have it. But in a world where NIL is a thing, if my choices are play in front of 13,000 people at Dudy Noble for X number of dollars, or playing in a much lesser stadium in front of lesser crowds for 5X that amount, I'm not picking playing in front of the bigger crowds. Like, give me the money, right? And I don't think I'm unique in that regard. So because NIL is so opaque, we don't know exact numbers, but if you look around at the types of, pools that LSU and Tennessee and A&M and Texas are fishing around in, and then see where Mississippi State has traditionally fished. Now, they've gotten some good players out of it, for sure. But it's just different in terms of the star power, out of the portal that they're getting versus the other powers, or at least aspirational powers in the SEC. And then I think in the more immediate term, the other thing that happened is you look back at those early Lemonis teams, and one thing that really stands out about them is they had really good locker room leadership. Jake Mangum, Elijah McNamee, Ethan Small, guys like that had been through a lot, because let's not forget that was coming on the heels of, Andy Cannizzaro is fired, Gary Henderson takes him to Omaha. Like, that team was pretty close because they had kind of dealt with a lot of trauma together. So when that leadership moved on, it just never felt like they had the right locker room chemistry, roster chemistry, all of that stuff in place. They had plenty of talent at various points, but it just felt like they didn't have that kind of circle of leadership with the Mangums and the McNamees like they did back then.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do next. Let's take things to the teams that are playing for a little bit more than Mississippi State, LSU, and Tennessee, certainly in that league. What did you make of the win for LSU in the series back over the weekend? How big was that?
It's huge, just on a couple of fronts. I mean, one is just the way game one of that series went down. I think that's the type of win that can be a little galvanizing. Now, credit to Tennessee. I thought they might come out and look flat the rest of the weekend, but they didn't. So credit to them. But LSU getting that win is huge. It gets them back on track. I said before the weekend that, the team that loses that series is going to have lost 3 SEC series. And I thought that either team would lose 3 SEC series for the entirety of the season. And yet here we are. So I think in the individual result, huge. Puts LSU back on track to where, they're I don't want to say lock yet, but they are in very good position to be a top 8, play at Alec Box the entire way to the postseason. But from the smaller picture, I think you found something in the rotation with Case and Evans there. And when we talk about depth on the mound, oftentimes what we focus on, myself included, is when we say depth, we think of, when you're in the 5th game of a regional and you have to go to your 9th guy in the bullpen, like, how good is that guy? And that is depth. That's just one definition, though. Depth can also be, hey, can we flip these 2 pieces around? And let's move Shores to the bullpen. Let's move Evans to the rotation. And can we not miss a beat? Now, from the rotation standpoint, they did. Now, we'll see what kind of role Shores has moving forward, but that's a different kind of depth where it's like, hey, these guys are versatile enough. We're just going to flip them, and we'll see if that works better. And at least through one weekend, it did for LSU.
Sure did. I thought that Sunday was the biggest game of the year, and they was probably their best game of the year. You could put that one or the win over Texas on Friday night with Anderson on the mound, but either one of those really, really big, and LSU now in a good spot here. I want to talk about the game tonight, Texas and Arkansas. Big one for the Hogs. I don't know that Texas is playing very many big games down the stretch here. They've just put themselves in such a big spot, but Arkansas is reeling a little bit. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it feels like I don't want to say now or never because that's too dramatic, but like, if Arkansas is the team that I certainly thought they were, like we need to see something this weekend. And if Texas is going to get got, it feels like this spot, because now we've arrived fully at the point where everyone, even folks who were maybe a little bit of doubters earlier in the season, myself included, have now come around to, okay, you know what, this Texas team is just really good. Are they catching some breaks? Yes. Does it feel like they've won a lot of 50-50 games? Yes, but also they're really good, and that's just what it is. But this series, I think, is the trickiest one they've had on the road. So I do think there is maybe a little bit of, I won't say shock to the system, but it's just going to be different than the road environments they've dealt with. So I think there's that. And then at some point, I just still think like that Texas pitching staff is going to get stressed in a way that it might not be able to handle. And Arkansas's offense has backslid a little bit the last few weeks, but I still think it's a dangerous enough offense to where they can get Texas off schedule. Now, last weekend, Texas got a little off schedule at times too, and it didn't necessarily matter. But can Arkansas push them a little bit more in Fayetteville? I think they can, and I think this is a weekend where, again, if Arkansas wants to be thought of as a true national title contender, this is the type of opportunity, having lost 3 straight series, where they need to kind of like draw a line in the sand and decide whether or not they're going to win the series.
Chatting with Joe Healy, part of D1 Baseball's SEC Extra team. No better time than to get involved with SEC Extra. Now just go to D1Baseball.com. Certainly the Highway to Hoover podcast, an awesome resource as well. Listen every single week. And he's with us every single Thursday here. LSU is at 5 in the RPI, which has moved up 4 spots in the last 3 days for reasons I certainly can't figure out. But I do know that Vanderbilt, Georgia, and Auburn are in front of LSU in the RPI and have really strong metrics. LSU takes care of their business. They're fine. But do you feel like those 3 teams are top 8 threats at this point?
It is so weird. I'd love to give you a more clear answer on this, but and they talked about this on the what they call the Nerdcast at D1 Baseball, where Aaron, Kendall, and Mark put the field together. There's this weird situation where, like RPI-wise, Georgia, Vanderbilt, and Auburn are in the top 5. They're tracking towards being a top 8, at least in that regard, but I'm not so sure that the teams kind of behind them from an SEC standpoint, at least in the case of Ole Miss and obviously Tennessee, are better than those teams, and how the committee is going to deal with that if, let's say, Tennessee finishes 20-10 or 18-12 even, and their RPI is 11 or 12 versus an Auburn team that finishes 16-14 and has an RPI of 4. Like, what do you do with that?
Yeah.
And I think the SEC has created this challenge where you've got Texas that has clearly jumped out, and then you've got a group of 6 or 7 teams here, the teams we're talking about right here, where it feels like a little bit of a jumbled mess. And so if you told me that ends with the SEC having 6 national seeds, like, I would believe that. If you told me that the committee feels the need to draw a line somewhere and, they do it with RPI and the RPI teams are the top 8 and the others aren't, I believe that. And I'd also believe the inverse. That's just kind of a messy league we have this year after you get past Texas. You have Texas top, Mizzou at the bottom, and then kind of in between that, it is pretty messy, and that makes it fun, but also I have no idea what to expect.
Next up for LSU's trip to College Station starting tomorrow. They'll see Brian Prager tomorrow, who was so good at the end of last year, and his numbers this year are just not very good. What do you expect to see from their left-hander? He was really good last week.
Yeah, he was better last week. I just think it's one of those things where it's a combination of things. One is that his stuff is a little down. Now, he never had, he was not up there pumping 98, but he had the secondary stuff that was typically really sharp, and he knew how to use his fastball off of it. Now that stuff is not as good, and so when he's missing by a little bit, the ball's getting hit out of the park, and that's a real problem. Now, LSU is not necessarily the offense that I think most takes advantage of that kind of situation, but I think we're going to see the Prager that we've seen, which is that he's going to battle, he's going to compete, he'll throw 5 or 6 innings, but I think LSU is going to get to him, 3-4 runs, something like that. So I think LSU is going to have an opportunity to get into the bullpen and make some hay there. And for A&M, it's an interesting spot. I think for a while when they got really hot the last month or so, at least I did, I just kind of assumed, like, all right, they're just going to keep rolling and they're going to waltz into a regional, and maybe they're only, quote unquote, only 15-15 in the league or something like that, but they'll get in. Well, now they're sitting at 8-13 after getting swept, and if LSU wins 2 or 3 here, that's a home series that A&M loses, and suddenly it does start to get a little bit dicey for A&M. Like, we can't just assume that because this team started playing like a top 10 team the last month that they're going to just be able to kind of cakewalk into the postseason. Like, they do have to kind of get moving now.
No doubt. And to me, I think one of the things that Texas A&M is missing badly, I mean, some of their guys haven't produced offensively, and Prager hasn't been as good, but Cortez and Aschenbeck were so good in the bullpen late last year, and I just don't see that guy. Do you believe if LSU can get past Prager, get past Lampkin into the bullpen, they should have an advantage there?
100%. I mean, Weston Moss has been really good for A&M. He's probably been their most consistent bullpen guy that at least recreates a little of what they had. Now, his stuff isn't as good as Cortez, and he's not as consistent as Aschenbeck, so he's kind of caught in between the two. But he's been about as close as they've had. So, yes, if you with A&M, if you're able to get past Prager, and, oh, by the way, if you're able to burn Weston Moss on Friday, I think you're in really, really good shape.
Where are you headed this weekend? Anywhere special?
Yeah, I'm actually home. I've been on the road. I've been covering some other stuff. I was in Oregon this past weekend. I've been in the Midwest, because I was up there to see Oklahoma. And so, I haven't been home, feels like, in about a month. So, Hunt, I'm looking forward to me and the ESPN app on the couch this weekend and catching up on teams I haven't seen in a while.
Everybody likes a home game. Enjoy it this weekend. We'll talk next week.
All right, Hunt, see you, buddy.
Joe Healy, SEC Extra D1 Baseball. Always gracious with his time on Thursdays. Always gives us some great information. Appreciate that conversation. Our Thursday show's brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Beef. We'll be back to close out our number one next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
For a teammate to help you achieve your financial dreams, come see one of the Louisiana National Bank's Uncommon Bankers. Equal housing lender. Member FDIC.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Sagrera Farms brings you our Thursday shows. Every single cow up there at Sagrera Farms is the product of a 3-year journey. I mean, Sean's working on 2029 cattle right now because they're genetically engineered to be the finest cattle in America. And it's right here outside of Baton Rouge. It's grilling season. If you want beef that is in the top 1% nationwide, you want the best of the best when it comes to ground beef, ribeyes, fillets, strips, all that, and you want it in your freezer, go up to Sagrera Farms and make that call today. Sagrera Farms. Call Sean at 719-1723. They're bringing our Thursday shows each and every week. LSU added a basketball transfer yesterday, got a commitment from Pablo Tamba of UC Davis. Pablo Tamba is an interesting story. He is from Spain, played on Spain's U20 national team a couple of years ago, decided that he wanted to come play in the States for college. So he went to, of course, none other than Idaho State. Why wouldn't you go to Idaho State? He played sparingly at Idaho State as a freshman. Then he transferred to Indian River State College, which I've never heard of, in Florida. So it's from Spain to Idaho to Florida, then back to UC Davis. So he's seen it all when it comes to basketball. Spent 2 years at UC Davis. Last year was a full-time starter for them. Averaged 11 points and 5.5 rebounds for UC Davis. He is a 6'7" wing who, based on the statistics, and I've seen sparing video of him, not a lot, based on statistics, is not an overly skilled shooter or scorer. He scored those 11.5 points because he's 6'7". He's got really long arms, and he is a fantastic athlete. He can really jump. If you search Pablo Tamba on the internet or on Twitter, you will immediately see, playing for that Spanish team, a baseline drive where he takes off on one block and then goes under the basket and reverse jams it the other way at 6'7". He is an explosive athlete, and that's his best trait. You look at this LSU team and how it's put together, and I think he is the most likely to be a wing defender. And you need that on a team. Think Marlon Taylor. He's not as good an athlete as Marlon Taylor was, but he is a good athlete, and he's a better athlete, I think, than the wings that they have brought in this point. You're talking about Rashad King. You're talking about Max McKinnon. Those guys are offensive players. King was obviously a conference player of the year for his offensive acumen. McKinnon has been a really good offensive player at multiple college stops. And Tamba can score driving to the bucket. He can finish around the rim and jam and those kind of things. But he has 3 things you can't teach that lend itself to being a good defensive player. He's got length, he's a good athlete, and he's old. Those 3 things make you a better defender. And so his numbers are not staggering at UC Davis as far as steals and blocks and those kind of things, but he's got the tools to be that. It's very difficult for me to determine what the fit is here for Pablo Tamba. My gut tells me he's kind of a depth piece. And if you roll your eyes at that, that's perfectly reasonable. But LSU ran out of depth on the wing this year. Tyrell Ward left before the season started, and then Victorious Miller got hurt. So you basically had Jai Bailey, who was kind of supposed to be the defensive guy on this team, and Jai Bailey is nowhere near the athlete that Pablo Tamba is. So this, to me, I don't think Pablo Tamba is going to be an all-SEC player. I don't think he's going to average 10 points per game. I do think he's a really good athlete with really good length and athleticism, and I think he's going to be a depth piece on this team. They've still got some pieces to add. You've got 6 transfers now. You got 3 guys that you brought in the portal. So you got Jalen Reed, who's coming back, obviously. You have 3 freshmen, like I mentioned. So you've still got 2 spots, I think, left to fill. This is a guy who fits one of the criteria that Matt McMahon likes, and it's length on the perimeter. And there have been some teams that have struggled with that. I mean, Trey Hannibal does not have that. Jalen Cook does not have that. You ran out of it this past year. So this is not some sort of program-changing deal. I'm certainly not trying to sell you that at all, but I'm looking at the skill set. I'm looking at a guy who has made 10 threes in 2 years at UC Davis, so he's not a shooter. He's not really a scorer. I worry about him offensively in the SEC when you can't stretch the floor to shoot the three, and really all you can do is drive, and they can lean back on you, and the defenders in the SEC at the rim are way bigger and more athletic than you're seeing in the Big West. I think offensively it's going to be a huge adjustment for Tamba, but defense is defense, and hopefully there's something in there that he can bring this LSU basketball program. At least I think that's the idea at this point, but certainly has some tools, and that's a good place to start. So Matt McMahon's still working in the portal, still looking for one or two more pieces for this upcoming basketball team. Pablo Tamba, the latest. If you'd like to read more about Pablo Tamba, go to LouisianaSports.net. I've got a pretty detailed piece up on LouisianaSports.net that does feature some highlights that I enjoyed, and I kind of break that down a little bit. So check that out for free over on LouisianaSports.net. Fast-moving first hour here on this Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. I preview Texas A&M a little bit at 1 o'clock. Luke Johnson. We talked Derek Carr and the quarterback situation. It is a bizarre deal down there in New Orleans that Luke talked about at 1:15, so you can catch that earlier in hour number one. Joe Healy talking some SEC baseball with us at 1:30. All that you can find on demand wherever you find your sound. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, review. We always appreciate you helping get our content in front of as many people as you possibly can. Got a lot to do in hour number two as well. I'll talk about LSU's baseball resume entering the Texas A&M series. Chris Blair will join us at 2:15 from College Station, Texas. It's some LSU football to come your way at the bottom of the hour as well. So hope your Thursday is going well. We're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Beef. We'll stop for Sports Center, and we'll come back with the second hour of this Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Safety, pretty big deal when you're buying a car, right? Got to have a safe vehicle for your family. And I can promise you this. You get behind the wheel of a Genesis, you're getting behind the wheel of one of the safest vehicles on the road. Every single model on the line, all of them, have been given the IIHA top safety pick. Every one. And some have been given the top safety pick plus. They don't cut short on safety at Genesis. It's just part of the deal. So if you're looking for one of the safest vehicles on the road as you start your journey in buying a vehicle, I highly, highly recommend checking out Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're easy to find. They're on Airline. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, you're probably on Airline in Baton Rouge. Just make the one stop on Pico across from Women's Hospital and check in with their brand ambassadors. Get behind the wheel and see the difference in driving a Genesis. Every single new purchase comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find them online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac. Our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Huh. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-26.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. It's Game 6 night in the basketball and hockey playoffs. In the NBA, the Clippers host the Nuggets, with Denver leading the series 3-2. Clippers coach Ty Lue.
Like I said, protect the three-point line, do a better job with that. I think whoever wins the three-point battles won the games. And then I think, like I said, just starting with that defensive mindset to start the game. We can't let them get out early and keep playing catch-up and playing from behind. That's what we've been doing the last 3 games.
Ty Lue. Also tonight, Game 6 in Detroit, with the Knicks leading the Pistons 3-2. In the Stanley Cup playoffs, 3 home teams will try to force a Game 7. The Senators host the Maple Leafs. The Wild host the Golden Knights at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. The Avalanche host the Stars. In Edmonton tonight, 10 Eastern on ESPN. The Oilers can eliminate the Kings with a win. Call it life in the big leagues after not allowing a hit for 6 1/3 innings in his major league debut for the Royals Wednesday. Lefty Noah Cameron was sent back to AAA Omaha today.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Friday, everyone knows Jason Tatum is my favorite player. But can Anthony Edwards become the face of the league without making the finals? We'll talk about it on Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Hour 2, Thursday edition Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Sagrera Farms. Premium beef. It's been a tough week for me emotionally with my Cubs. I'll be candid with you all. I watched on Sunday as Aaron Nola just absolutely carved the Cubs up. And then today, the Cubs faced Paul Skeens. And I thought that was going to go very poorly because Paul Skeens is really, really good. I love Paul Skeens. National champion. National pitcher of the year, first pick in the draft. He's been on this show. I tried to get him on one more time. He said, I don't think so, which was not surprising. And I don't hold that against him at all because he's got better things to do when he's in Baton Rouge than come talk to me. But I was thinking it wasn't going to go very well. The Cubs hit 3 home runs off Paul Skeens in 1 inning today and are leading 8-3 in the 9th inning. So one LSU ace dominates the Cubs on Sunday. The Cubs get the best of one LSU ace today. That concludes our Cubs talk for this portion of the show. Let's talk some LSU baseball, specifically LSU's resume as it relates to the field of 64. We haven't really done this to this point because it's not worth doing in March or April. It's May now. So it's now time to take a look at what LSU looks like to the committee. And I'll tell you this, like right off the bat, it's good. LSU's in a good spot. I cannot tell you why LSU's RPI went up 4 spots on Wednesday after beating Southeastern Louisiana. I don't have a good explanation for that. I looked at the RPI pretty extensively as far as what happened with teams. I can tell you that North Dakota State, who LSU beat twice in February, moved up 11 spots. I can tell you that Omaha, who LSU took 2 of 3 from and actually lost a game to, moved up 17 spots this week, and maybe that had to do with it. But I doubt it. Like there's a lot of volatility in the RPI because if you don't know, this is a pretty simple way of boiling it down. The RPI deals with your wins and losses, your opponent's wins and losses, and your opponent's wins and losses. So it's a big formula. And the only reason I bring it up and start talking about that is because the committee over the past 5 to 7 years has really leaned on the RPI. It just is what it is. And there was an Arkansas team that won 20 SEC games and did not even host a regional because of the RPI. Last year, Georgia won 17 SEC games and was a top 8 national seed because of the RPI. So it's a big deal. And after LSU beat Tennessee on Sunday, Monday morning, the RPI was 9. And that's a fine place to be in to get a top 8 seed. 9, you're right there. But I was looking at the top, and I'm going, okay, there's Texas, there's Georgia, there's Vanderbilt, there's Auburn. Like, there's a lot of SEC teams that are currently ahead of LSU, and there's one right behind them in Texas, and you know how volatile this thing can be. LSU played one midweek game, and it moved 4 spots. Now, it was to the good, but you're talking about you want to be in the top 8 for an RPI. And LSU right now is at 5. But you've got Arkansas right behind LSU. You play Arkansas next week. Tennessee's knocking on your door at 10. So there are a lot of SEC teams around. And I will be very honest with you. I'm leery of how many SEC teams surround LSU in this thing because I think the committee oftentimes tries to spread the wealth. It's stupid, it's wrong, it's incorrect, it's foolish, but I think they try to do that. I think if they believe there is a splitting hairs situation with Southeastern Conference versus another conference, and the SEC's already got 5 top 8s or already got 7 hosts, that they're more likely to try to share the wealth because they don't want to just saturate the entire thing with the SEC. Here's the deal. The SEC's way better than everyone else. Way better. Way better than the Big 12. The Pac-12 doesn't exist. Miles better than the Big 10. And oh yeah, the ACC, who got 4 teams into the national to Omaha last year, the SEC, way better than them too. Because the SEC teams all get there and win national championships, and the ACC gets there and chokes. So I'm leery of the SEC. Now, I should have said this right at the top of the discussion because it's the most pertinent thing. I'm not talking about LSU getting screwed if they win 20 league games and getting left out for Vanderbilt. If you take care of your business, then we don't have a discussion. This is a talk show, however, so we're going to have a discussion, and it comes into play if LSU finishes with 18 or 19 league wins, and Auburn or Vanderbilt has 17, 18, 19 league wins as well. Georgia in the same boat. Tennessee in the same boat. So this is purely a discussion based on, okay, what if LSU stubs their toe in College Station and only gets 2 in Columbia, maybe loses a series against Arkansas? Not all those things, but if you finish with 18 or 19 league wins, because LSU's non-conference strength of schedule is terrible. It's 219th. Vanderbilt's is 87th. Auburn's is 76th. Georgia's is 113th. Like, those are 100-point gaps in non-conference strength of schedule. You look at strength of schedule on its own merit. LSU's is 28th, which is not a disaster, but it's 28th. Auburn 1, Vanderbilt 3, Georgia 4. There's a difference there. You can look at Clemson. They're better than you there. North Carolina, better than you there. So the strength of schedule metric is not going to play in LSU's favor. And right now, your quadrant 1 is just about on par with everybody. You're a couple games over 500 at 9-7. You look at some of the other teams. Georgia's 12-9, 3 games over. Vanderbilt's 11-10, 1 game over. Auburn's 11-9, 2 games over. Arkansas's 8-5, 3 games over. Everybody's kind of jumbled there, and they're jumbled in the RPI. What LSU has to guard against is strength of schedule, and then what we talked about 2 days ago, which I'm going to leave in the past, but the Missouri factor that I explained, where if you got to play Missouri, that's a big feather in your. That's a detriment potentially because they're so bad. If you didn't, maybe that's a feather in your cap. So to me, like I look at where LSU stands, and I'm putting out part of the negative aspect to come full circle and come around and say those things exist, but LSU's in really good shape. Really good shape. Only one team in college baseball has more wins than LSU. That's Texas. And the committee still knows that you play in the hardest league in the conference. You were in second place in that league at 14 wins. You were fifth in the RPI trying to get a top 8. And I've said this forever and ever, amen. If you get the 8 seed or the 1 seed, I don't care. As long as you're in the top 8. I don't see an advantage to being 2 as opposed to 7. I don't see an advantage as being 1 instead of 4. Like, I don't really care. If you're trying to avoid Paul Skeens, maybe we'll talk about that in Omaha. Nobody exists like that that's in the top 8. I'm fine with LSU playing whoever it is in the NCAA tournament. I'd kind of prefer you don't play Florida State, but I can't control that. So I just want any seed from 1 to 8 will do just fine for me. And oh, by the way, you can't really forecast who's going to make it to Omaha. Like Tennessee was the best team I've ever seen 3 years ago. They didn't even get there. So I just want to get in the top 8. LSU is in a great spot to get in the top 8. And you have 9 quad 1 opportunities coming up. Texas A&M on the road is quad 1. Arkansas at home is quad 1. Even South Carolina on the road is quad 1 right now. Now, if South Carolina loses 6 straight league games before you get there, that math may change a little bit. But if they can just hold their own in the next 2 series and win 1 game in each, I think against Auburn and Florida, they'll still be in quad 1. So LSU overall is in very, very good position. You just need to hold serve. And I believe as we sit here, if you want me to bring this thing all the way to a prediction or a feeling that I have, I think 19 is the cutoff. I think at 19-11, LSU hosts a super regional should they get there. I think you're a top 8 seed at 19-11, regardless if you go to Hoover, and that would probably be a Wednesday game and lose. It's single elimination all the way through Hoover for those that aren't aware of that. Everybody's going to Hoover. Missouri's going to Hoover. 0-30, 2-28, whatever, they're going to Hoover. And it's single elimination once you get there. If LSU can get to 19 wins, I think they're safe. And how do you get to 19 wins? You got to go 5-4 the rest of the way. So I think LSU needs to win 1 of the next 2 series, which means 3-3, right? And then you go to Columbia needing to get 2 out of 3 against a bad South Carolina team. So ultimately, win 2 out of your next 3 series, but more practically win 3 of the next 6 games at Texas A&M and, of course, at home against Arkansas. One more little fly in the ointment that really shouldn't be an issue, but I will bring it up. We talk about midweek games all the time, right? Don't lose on Tuesday. I can't put this any more clearly. Do not lose on Tuesday. And 99% of you driving around in the car right now go, well, who the heck do we play on Tuesday? You play Grambling. And Grambling's terrible, and LSU should not lose to Grambling. They're number 280 in the RPI. Just don't do that, okay? Just do whatever it takes to beat Grambling by 1 run, okay? You probably run rule them, if I had to guess, but don't lose to RPI 280 in a midweek game with a week and a half to go in the season. I don't think we have to talk any more about that because it's pretty much not going to happen. I'll bring it up on Tuesday when the game is coming up, but that's just the one thing that I'll toss that in there because you lose that game, you are backing up in the RPI. You can't lose to RPI 280. So that's just one little piece. But big picture, and if you'd like to read more about this, I've got a whole piece up that details the whole thing on LouisianaSports.net called, what's it called? I think it's Resume Review. There you go. It's up there at LouisianaSports.net right now. LSU in very, very good spot right now as far as their postseason resume is concerned. Just need to keep things moving. Just move the chains. Slow, methodical drive, run the triple option, get 4 yards here, 4 yards here, 6 yards here. Just don't lose a lot of yards. Don't take a sack. Don't fumble the ball. Get what I'm saying? They're in good shape. So that's my start to the hour here, second hour on this Thursday. Our Thursday shows are brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Beef. I know most of you listening have had really, really good steaks, and most of you listening have had really bad steaks. Well, what's the difference? Well, it's the fat content. If you talk about intramuscular fat, which is an IMF score, that's where you find that premium beef. If you got 4% or worse, you're talking about select beef. That's 30% of the beef that's out there. 60%, the majority of beef, is choice. You're looking at 4 to 8% with that IMF score. 9% and better is prime. 9% is prime Angus beef. Talking about great marbling, ribeyes, fillets, 9%. Sagrera Farms, just north of Baton Rouge. Right now, walking around on the farm, they did an ultrasound this week with a vet. 9% is prime. They've got 12s, 14s, 17s, 18s walking around on that farm. It is truly in the top 1% of beef nationwide. So if you want the opportunity to just go to your freezer and get some of the finest beef in the country all summer long, go see Sean Sagrera at Sagrera Farms. He will sell you a side. He will sell you a whole cow to put in that freezer. Just got to give him a call. 719-1723, 719-1723. It's an incredible process that most of you probably haven't gone through. Go to the farm. They'll wrap it for you. They'll vacuum seal it. They'll send it right out with you. It's Sagrera Farms. Call Sean Sagrera, 719-1723. Sagrera Farms bring you our Thursday shows each and every week. Come back with Chris Blair next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
You work hard every day to pursue a life you love. You put in the time, and it shows. You're forging ahead, chasing a dream, creating something better for the ones you love. You're building your own life. So why not build your own tractor? With John Deere tractors and attachments for almost any need, the Sunshine team can help you do just that. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Chugging right along here on this Thursday. Let's head to College Station, Texas. That's where we'll find the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, good enough to give us some time on Thursdays. Chris, you getting your mail sent to Alex Box Stadium yet? You're spending some late nights there.
No, and the good news is the team left yesterday, and I'm going to run over there tomorrow. So I get a little extra time here in Baton Rouge, although, I'm sure I know what I'm missing, 2 extra days in Bryan College Station, but I'll survive.
It doesn't appear that the weather looks awesome for tomorrow. I'll just let that in for you. So, y'all, nothing you haven't seen before. Just bring some good. Do they still have that ice cream deal at Bluebell Park in the press box? Where there's just like a ton of ice cream, a freezer full?
Well, I think times have changed. Used to, first maybe 3-5 trips I was there, it was given away. Now they're, you got to kind of go ask and go looking for it and sneak into suites. So they're not as free giving as they used to be. I don't know if that's just LSU or for everybody, but yeah, not as much Bluebell flowing around like there used to be.
You got to fund the NIL. Got to make folks pay for stuff like that. You can't be giving stuff away. You got to pay the players. So that's the way that
you
it's.
Got it.
All right, let's talk about LSU. I contended on Twitter that Sunday was the biggest game of the season for LSU, and they may have played their best game. What did you see from the Tigers on Sunday in that one?
Yeah, I do think they played their best. It's interesting. You look back at the season, and, this is a team that for the year is batting .329 with runners in scoring position. And when you look at, the recent lows, if you will, for this team, starting with Auburn, that was a weekend where they were just over. They just weren't able to do so. And that's, again, I kind of left the Auburn weekend thinking that's not who this team is. Now, you're going to have that from time to time. Quite amazing that they struggled over 3 games, similar in the midweek loss to Northwestern State. So, again, that's not who this team is. And Sunday, to me, looked like who this team is. Now, granted, first 2 games of the weekend against Tennessee, you're talking about, really good pitchers for both teams. I thought we were treated to a battle with Cade Anderson and Liam Doyle. I thought Marcus Phillips was maybe even a tad bit better, at least more successful against LSU in Game 2. So you expect there to be a little more offense every weekend once you get to Game 3. But, LSU they just dominated that game offensively from the word go against the starter for Tennessee. So that's who I think this team is. Does that mean they'll do that every time out? No. Does that mean that there won't be pitchers they run up in that challenge them a little bit more? Absolutely not. And they'll see that a little bit, I think, this weekend now that, Texas A&M's got some of their healthy guys back. They've been able to reposition their infield and outfield. And obviously over the last 4 weeks, I think that's the team we'll see starting tomorrow, not the team that started the season and started SEC play. When you consider they took 2 of 3 in Knoxville, took 2 of 3 in Fayetteville, swept a struggling South Carolina team, and even though they got swept in Austin, I can vouch for how good that Texas team is. And those were games that A&M had a chance to win all 3. They were low-scoring, 1-run games. So that's who I think LSU is going to play. The good news is I think this LSU team, to your point, looks more like what they have been consistently over this season in Sunday and, again, the midweek against a pretty good Southeastern team, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. That could be back here in a few weeks if they were able to win the Southland tournament. I've seen a lot of relievers try to start in LSU, and it hadn't gone very well. Matty Ott tried it, didn't go very well. Zach Hess tried it, it was okay. Chase Shores was a really good reliever a couple of years ago that has kind of struggled as a starter. Kason Evans didn't seem to have many issues on Sunday.
Yeah, again, I think Tony Vitello after the series kind of said it best. He really was sure that Kason Evans was going to be pitching in pro ball this year, and then to see him come out and start Game 3 and dominate the way he did against a very potent Tennessee offense kind of tells you all you need to know. It was a great outing for Kason, after giving up the 2 runs early, and then he settled down and really quieted the bats. And, Jay's kept it pretty close to the vest. I imagine officially nobody will know until probably Sunday morning or once we arrive at the ballpark. But I think it's going to be awfully hard not to have him in there because he's proven he can do it. And, talking to Jay after the weekend, he let us all know that was kind of the plan. Saturday before Game 2, he kind of told Kason, hey, look, we got a chance to win. We're up or we're down a run and we got a shot late in the game. You're going to go in Saturday. If not, you're going to start on Sunday. I kind of don't see that plan changing depending on what happens the first two nights and depending on whether or not we got to play two on a certain day due to weather. I think all of that's going to be in flux, and the decision will be made, and we'll find out about it later.
I kind of got some flashbacks to last year over the last couple of games with Michael Braswell, who kind of caught fire there in Hoover and then in the regional as well. And we saw that again the last week. Does that look familiar to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. I mean, 2 home runs, his first 2 coming to this series, which is on the back half of the season. And, we really didn't consider Michael a power hitter, and that's not really what we were looking for, and that's just kind of extra. But again, he's been pretty consistent at the plate in SEC play, as opposed to his overall batting average. But, I think Buzzy said it best. I mean, you've got some great talent, and you can make certain changes at third base or in the order if you wanted to, depending on the pitching matchups. But a lot has to be said for the veteran experience that Brazzy has. And I think he's well suited at third base defensively for you. I mean, if there was a knock last year, it was maybe he didn't have the biggest range of a shortstop in the SEC. I think, though, his smoothness and his consistency really fit well, even at the hot corner at third base. So I really don't see him not being in the starting lineup down the stretch. And he certainly offensively, coming off this past weekend and what he's done of late, it makes it awfully hard to do so.
For sure. You've done this a lot longer than me. You had the coaches show back earlier this week. Did you find a new way to ask about Derek Curiel? Because I'm finding myself struggling with new things to talk about.
No, I mean, Jay said the same thing. Jay was like, we're running out of words. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have to carry a pocket thesaurus to come up with new ways to describe Derek Curiel. I mean, he and I were laughing after the game Tuesday night, where, again, he's gone 9 for 9 since his reach base streak ended with a couple of home runs. He's led off with a home run now 3 of the last 5 games, a couple of doubles, 6 runs batted in. It's kind of remarkable. And I looked around today, and there's obviously a lot of great freshmen in the Southeastern Conference, but I got to tell you, with 3 weekends remaining, I just don't see how he's not freshman of the year. I mean, he could be, you take his numbers, he's up near the top in so many different offensive categories overall in the SEC. He could be a candidate for player of the year, and he's a true freshman.
There's no doubt. I mean, I hadn't thought about that until you just said it, and I'm trying to motor through guys in my head. I mean, well, he will always having a big year at Arkansas, I think. But he's certainly in the mix for player of the year. I would have to think at this point, hitting 380 something with 6 or 7 home runs and an on base over 500. I don't know how he couldn't be in the mix there for sure. You've been to Bluebell Park a few times, as you mentioned. This has not gone the way that A&M fans wanted it to, but I got to think that as loyal as that fan base is, they're going to be supporting them until they can't anymore, and it should be pretty packed this weekend, you think?
Yeah, no, they'll be packed. Bubbles will be flying, and
Stupid.
all the great traditions they have there. But I think this is an important weekend for them, and that's why it's a little bit scary for LSU, which is why I'm glad the Tigers have played the last 2 games the way they have, because I don't think it sets them up to being comfortable going into the series. And I know Jay has told them, look, this team we're going to face, you don't even need to look at records, conference or otherwise. We need to see what they've done here of late when they've gotten everybody back. And Coach Early's been able to really, they were kind of mixing people around both in the infield and outfield, and they were a error-ridden team to start this season. But now they've got a couple of guys back who are veterans that are in their natural positions on the diamond, and they're a very, very good team. And for me, Texas A&M, the math still, there is a chance. There's still some math there for them to get. However, this weekend to me is the biggest because they got Missouri, which, no offense to Mizzou, I feel like Texas A&M will certainly be able to win that series. And then they finish on the road at Georgia. So to me, being at home against LSU with a chance to pick up 3 conference wins means this kind of is the make or break. Because if LSU goes over there and successful in those 3 games, I think the math then goes against A&M.
My 3-year-old's really good at popping bubbles, so if you need me to send him with you, I don't know how good Francaz is at knocking those things out of the way, but my 3-year-old's good at it if you need some help this weekend.
Oh, yeah. No, that'd be good to have. And hopefully we just don't see a lot of them.
That'd be good.
The best part.
Safe travels over there. We'll talk next week. Thanks, Chris.
You got it, boss.
He is Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers. You can catch him all weekend long over in Bryan College Station. I'm transparent about this. I think there are some really cool things about Texas A&M. I'm being very serious. I think their stadium in football is incredible. I think their passion's awesome. I think the Aggie War Hymn is awesome when they do the swaying and stuff. I think the bubbles at the baseball stadium is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Just putting that out there. We'll talk a little bit more about that series to come. 30 minutes left to go. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group. HighlandIG.com is the website. Jonathan Carbo and his team, just incredible to work with from an insurance perspective. I've told this story a number of times. I could get a little bit more into the weeds with my insurance experience, but I'll just make it pretty simple for you. They dealt with a prospective client a few months ago who had 5 locations, and all 5 of those locations were on one general liability policy, and it had $1 million total on 5 locations. They were able to look at the policy and go, well, I can get you $1 million on each location for the same premium. And they did that. So you got $5 million of coverage. If all you're doing when you get your insurance renewal is go, okay, what's the premium? Well, you're maybe missing an opportunity there, an opportunity at better coverage, an opportunity to better cover your business. If you're a business owner and you're just looking at premiums, maybe look at it a different way. The Highland Insurance Group is happy to do that. They're experts when it comes to auditing, reading, and correcting policies to make sure that your commercial insurance program is placed in the right place with the right market. And they've got dozens of them as an independent broker. Call Jonathan Carbo or check them out online, HighlandIG.com. They're based right here in Baton Rouge. They can help you out statewide as well. It's the Highland Insurance Group. They're online at HighlandIG.com.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team color, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Back here, Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Sagrera Farms Premium Beef. Looking for the best in beef. Raised on grass, finished on grain. Top 1% nationwide. You're talking about Sagrera Farms, and it's just outside Baton Rouge up in Ethel. Call Sean, 719-1723. Fill that freezer with the best ground beef, ribeyes, fillets, strips, flanks, whatever the case may be. They got it there for you. They'll sell the sides or whole cows up at Sagrera Farms. And if you don't like it, you don't have to pay for it. It's incredible, incredible stuff up there at Sagrera Farms. Todd McShay, who's now working with the Ringer, put together a mock draft for 2026. Okay, it's a little early. We get it. Just a touch. But it's interesting for a couple of reasons. Let's start with the great reason that it's interesting. Amazing reason. He's got Garrett Nussmeier going number 1 overall in that mock draft. And that's a pretty good spot to be in. Now, Garrett Nussmeier has not taken a snap next year, and I don't know what that's going to look like. But I'll tell you this. I would rather go into a season with my quarterback being mocked number 1 overall by some pretty reputable draft analysts than not have that. So that is a great starting point for LSU. I've been pro Nussmeier really since he beat Wisconsin. And I thought last year he played really well. I thought he made some foolish mistakes. I thought he turned the ball over in some crucial moments in College Station, and it was not perfect. And I'm not here to sell you a bill of goods that it was perfect. But I think he's really good. I think he's got a really good understanding of what he's trying to do offensively. I think he's got a really good arm. I think he's accurate. I think he makes aggressive throws that work out. And I'm not ready to stand here and trade him for a single quarterback in the Southeastern Conference. Not DJ Lagway, not Arch Manning. I'm not ready to trade him for anybody. Now, you may, and reasonable minds can differ, I guess, as they say, but I feel really good about where LSU is with Garrett Nussmeier at quarterback. And I've said that repeatedly. I will say that in June. I will say that in July. I will say that in August. And then we'll see in September. Speaking of September, we should get to the other part of this mock draft that was quite interesting, and maybe for not the best reason. Todd McShay projected 6 Clemson players in the first round. 6. Peter Woods, defensive tackle. Their quarterback, Cade Klubnik, who he's got as a top 10 pick. TJ Parker off the edge. That's 2 defensive linemen in the top 10 from Clemson, facing an LSU offensive line that's replacing 4 starters, maybe 5. Blake Miller on the offensive line, Avion Terrell at cornerback, Antonio Williams at wide receiver. 6 in the first round. Now, there's a chance that not a single one of those guys goes in the first round. It's a mock draft 12 months early. But that does suggest there is a massive amount of talent, high-end talent, on this Clemson team. And this is my feeling, and this is going to be one that splits it right down the middle. There will be 50% of people that say, you're a moron, shut your mouth. If you're scared, go to church. There will be 50% that say, you're right on the money. But I'm not budging. This game shouldn't be on the schedule. It just should not be on the schedule. I watched Indiana waltz into the playoff playing schools that were just atrocious. I don't think it matters who you beat. And I think LSU ought to be playing Stetson, or Stetson probably didn't have a football team. I was just trying to grab a team right out of the air that kind of sounded like Clemson. One I've been going with, they should be playing the Citadel. Should be playing Rice. And nobody likes those games, and nobody wants to watch those games. And guess what? For my business to talk on the radio the week before the Clemson game and to write stuff on LouisianaSports.net, more people will be watching the videos, listening to our radio station, and reading stuff if LSU plays Clemson. And that's great for our business, and that's an important thing, and I'm excited for that aspect of it. But if you're talking about competing for championships and winning them, you don't need this game on the schedule. If you're going on the road into one of the top 10 programs in the country, if I'm being conservative, because you can't schedule an SEC team in the non-conference, obviously. So where could you have gone that would be more ambitious than at Clemson? You go to Ohio State, you go to Oregon, and that's probably it. I'm not putting Michigan in that camp right now. Texas and Oklahoma aren't eligible for that anymore. USC's not great. It's Clemson, Ohio State, and Oregon, or probably Penn State, or the Notre Dame. That's probably the worst you could do in terms of difficulty level, and LSU is playing that this coming year. And that is inherently putting your team behind the 8 ball. Now, look, LSU used these games as a springboard in some great seasons. LSU played Virginia Tech in 2007 and beat the brakes off of them. LSU played Oregon in 2011, coming off a national championship berth where they lost to Cam Newton. They had a lot of those guys back, and they beat the brakes off of them. And if you want to say, if you're going to be a championship team, you got to beat tough teams. But I'm one of the people who stood there in December of 2011 and said, man, I really wish Oklahoma State was on the other sideline before the game ever kicked off. Because those who say to beat the man, to be the man, you got to beat the man, actually incorrect. To be the man, you have to beat whoever's on the other sideline. And when you control who's on the other sideline, it generally behooves you to give yourself a little bit of advantage there. LSU doesn't feel that way. Now, they haven't put any more of these games on the schedule in the last couple of years. So we'll see if that philosophy is changing. And I know that Verge Osbury puts these schedules together, and I've heard him on the record say, no, we're going to be a championship program. We're going to go play marquee games. And there's a part of that that's very admirable, and it's great for LSU's brand, and LSU's very visible, and there's advantages to that. But when you continue to go out there and lose opening games and put yourself behind the 8 ball before Labor Day even starts, a lot of that is on the football team for not executing, and some of that's on scheduling. Because I can promise you, if you put me in charge of scheduling, I can promise you this with 100% certainty, LSU will start 1-0. If I'm in charge of scheduling, LSU will start the season 1-0. I can make that happen automatically. And that hasn't happened. And it appears like I'm not, up until I listened to this Todd McShay podcast and heard what he had to say, I didn't know anything about Clemson's team other than Kane Klubnik was the quarterback and Dabo Swinney was the coach. Like, I don't know any of Clemson's personnel. It's March. It was March. Now it's May. And I'm sitting here breaking down college baseball RPIs. Like, that's the mode I'm in right now. But when something like this pops up, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting, and I start listening because Garrett Nussmeier is the number 1 pick, and then I keep listening, and I go, oh, well, there's a Clemson guy at 3. There's a Clemson guy at 6. There's a Clemson guy at 8. There's a Clemson guy at 9. There's a Clemson guy at 27. There's a Clemson guy at 28. I'm going, that's a lot of Clemson guys. And that's where LSU's headed. So, man, the eyes of the country will be fixated on 2 places on Labor Day weekend. They'll be locked into Texas and Ohio State, and those 2 teams are playing. LSU's not on an island here. A lot of teams do it. Those 2 teams are playing, and game day will be there, and Corso will do his last headset pick there. But everybody will also be watching LSU and Clemson, and that is big time for your brand. And that is going to create a massive amount of excitement in this city. It's going to create a massive amount of excitement in the state of South Carolina. And the winner of that game will be in a great position to go to the college football playoff. But the loser of that game has got to walk a high wire from Labor Day to Christmas. And that is really hard to do. And I knew it was going to be hard just based on the logo and the location. Clemson on the road is going to be hard no matter what. But Clemson on the road with these guys that Todd McShay thinks are first-round picks, that makes life a little bit tougher because we know there was a run there for about 6 years where Clemson was always really good, and the last couple of years haven't been as good. The DJU years weren't very good post-Trevor Lawrence. And it's reasonable to suggest, as Dabo Swinney doesn't go into the transfer portal and supplement things that way and talks about how they're not going to get in the NIL game, they're going to do it in the name, image, and likeness of Jesus Christ instead of money. Like, you could think if you're not going to do the transfer portal and you're not going to pay players, like, you're probably not going to be very good. But it looks like they're pretty good. So LSU will certainly have their hands full when they go to Clemson, South Carolina. And I couldn't pick Blake Miller, offensive tackle, who could be a first-round pick if he walked right through that door and shook my hand. I have no idea who he is. Todd McShay knows who he is. He thinks he's pretty good at football. So I'll take his word for it before we get into all this in the summer. But it just seems like a daunting task that LSU is facing. But hey, if you're going to face a daunting task, you might as well do it with who Todd McShay thinks is the number 1 quarterback on the board, which we started this conversation with is a very, very positive thing. So that's what Todd McShay has to say about LSU and Clemson entering the 2025 college football season. Our Thursday shows are brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Beef. We'll step aside one more time. Come back and close it out. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. I never really considered closet space in my single years. Just wasn't something I cared that much about. Bought a house. Closet space wasn't great. Who cares? Well, my wife-to-be moves in, and she looks at the closet space and goes, this is pathetic. She hated it. We had to put coats in different hallway closets, stuff in other rooms. We just didn't have room for all her stuff and all my stuff. Well, you can change that. We moved and prioritized closet space. You don't have to move to do that. You can have David Duvall and his team come in and help you with your closet. He will customize it to your specifications, get the right amount of drawers and cubbies and mirrors and racks and shelves and tie racks and things that can use that space most efficiently so you don't feel cluttered and crammed. We had suitcases in there. It was a disaster. David Duvall can help you with all of that. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find them online at onebathandclosets.com. 18 months, 0% financing, same as cash if you qualify. Get that free consultation with David and his team today. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find them online at onebathandclosets.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday shows brought to you by Sagrera Farms. Premium beef. Top 1% in the country, and they know it. Had a vet come out this week, do some ultrasounds on their beef. You're talking about the best in premium Angus beef. They had the intramuscular fat scores. You're talking about 9+ is prime. That's the best of the best that you get at the best of the best steakhouses. 9% is prime. They got 12s, 14s, 17s, 18s. On the farm right now at Sagrera Farms. If you would like to get that in your freezer as quickly as possible, I highly suggest you give our guy Sean Sagrera a call at 719-1723. They've got a meticulous scientific process. It's a 3-year journey to raise and breed these cattle, and the product is a consistent, unbelievably flavorful and marbled meat. I'm a ribeye guy. Maybe filet is your deal. Want the best burger, ground beef? They got you covered at Sagrera Farms Premium Beef. Give Sean a call, 719-1723. That's 719-1723. All right, one segment to go here for me this week as I'm out tomorrow. Musso will be in the captain's chair. He'll probably talk a lot of baseball, if I had to guess, as LSU and Texas A&M get ready to battle this weekend. And I told you to start the show. Like, if LSU can take care of their business this weekend and get at least 2 games, you are in a phenomenal spot to get a top 8 national seed, and that is obviously the goal, to make the road to Omaha paved through Alec Box Stadium. So we'll see how they do this weekend. I gave a preview at the top of the show. We certainly talked to Chris Blair as well. So we'll see how it goes this weekend. We got one thing left to do, and that, of course, is take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, Mr. Palmer. The Timberwolves beat the Lakers last night and eliminated them from the NBA playoffs. That was LeBron's last game as a Laker. Take it or leave it.
Leave it. I have no idea how that's going to work out. I mean, is he going to get Bronny traded too? They got to go. Are they a package deal?
Package deal
To wherever he wants to go next. I mean, he's got to be at the end of the rope here. He's playing great, right? But he's not going to win another title, is he?
I don't know where you'd go to do it.
I mean, you're not going to play with anybody significantly better than Luka. I would have to think. I mean, unless you're going wherever Giannis is going to end up, you're going to go with him. They're kind of the same player. I think he's still really good, and he can put up his numbers for another couple of years if he wants to, but I just can't imagine we're going to see a bunch of LeBron into mid-June anymore.
Michigan State Athletic Director Alan Haller is out after 5 years in the department. Deputy Athletic Director Jennifer Smith and longtime men's basketball coach Tom Izzo will serve as co-interim athletic directors during the search for Haller's replacement. Hiring your next boss. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. That's a good gig. What is Izzo going to do? Like, he's going to monitor the softball program?
He's going to help find the next AD. He gets to hire his next boss.
Okay. I've got a feeling that boss is not going to have firing power over Tom Izzo. It's just a hunch I have that in that contract line, page 47 is going to say, by the way, you can't fire Izzo. So, yeah, whatever. I'm not as concerned with what's going on in East Lansing, Michigan, but I'm tickled by like that thought, like Izzo is going to do anything as the interim co-AD. He's the basketball coach. He's going to go recruit basketball players and develop basketball players. He's not going to go worry about what the tennis team's doing.
Raiders general manager John Spytek told reporters
I'm sure he told him something really smart.
Oh, he did. He
Raiders
told him
usually come up with good stuff.
To the NFL draft, he said that his son would be walking out on the family if they didn't take Ashton Jeanty. Well, he said he wanted to give his son credit for helping the Raiders draft Jeanty. He said he involved his kid because he heard the Chicago Bears were considering trading up to take him. He said, I involved my kid in the Ashton Jeanty case just maybe to get people to think that, well, he would never do what a 10-year-old says. And he also said that wasn't the only trick up his sleeve. He also intentionally did not bring in Montana State quarterback Tommy Mellott for a pre-draft visit because he didn't want teams to know that the Raiders were interested in drafting him. The Raiders did end up drafting Mellott at the end of the 6th round. John Spytek is a genius. Take it or leave it.
You got to take it based on the evidence. I mean, I can only go off the evidence that's presented, and that's just genius. He's throwing him off the scent by getting the 10-year-old involved, and then just a complete rabbit out of the hat. First guy in NFL history to draft a guy he didn't bring in for a visit. Amazing stuff. The Raiders continue to set the bar in terms of being progressive and forward-thinking in the National Football League.
Was there anybody before or after his son wanted him to draft Ashton Jeanty that thought the Raiders weren't going to take him if he was there at 6? Is there a team in the world that thought that?
I don't know. I was at the beach just hanging out.
Also, you draft a quarterback that you didn't bring in for a pre-draft visit.
Yeah.
I got news for him. Nobody would have known if you brought in the Montana State quarterback for a pre-draft visit.
I certainly would have.
I've seen Tommy Mellott play. Decent player. I don't think he was getting drafted.
Tommy Mellott, just like those Clemson guys, he could walk right in and tell me, hey, I'm Tommy Mellott. I wouldn't know he was drafted, nor he played for Montana State, or that he was going to go lose for the Raiders. So I would have no idea about any of that. So good for Tommy. Good for whatever the kid's name is, and good for the Raiders. We got anything else?
That's it.
That's it. All right, I can give my thoughts on LSU and Texas A&M for the last minute and a half here. I told you at the top of the show, I really think A&M is a good baseball team. I think their coach is in over his head. But the talent, especially offensively, is really there. It will warm my heart from an LSU perspective if they can come out and really hit Ryan Prager hard. This is not Liam Doyle. This is not Kyson Witherspoon. This is not Jared Spencer. This is not Pico Khan. This is not Marcus Phillips. This is not that kind of stuff. And if Ryan Prager goes 7 innings of one-run baseball, that's going to be a red flag to me. Jay Johnson said after Saturday's loss, Doyle and Phillips are really good, and sometimes you have to tip your hat. And I agree with that. I really do. I'm fully on board with that. I watched those two guys pitch. They're great. I don't think Prager's great. I think Prager is a nice college pitcher. And I think Lampkin is a nice college pitcher. He's certainly an SEC starter, probably right where he needs to be as a 2 starter. LSU needs to hit the ball this weekend. And if they do, then it would really justify the thought that, there's been some struggles, but it's against these top 2-round draft picks, and that may not be the case this coming weekend. So I need LSU to hit the ball. If they do that and they can get 2 games this weekend, you're really, really in a good spot. Even if you get 1, you're okay. And I realize that there are LSU fans who are, you're not going to get swept at Texas A&M. Probably not. But it happens. You got swept at Auburn, and I think they're a mediocre baseball team. So they just need to make sure, get 1 out of the way early, and then see what you can do late. Cowan gives an advantage. Certainly Evans gives him an advantage. Anderson should give him a huge advantage. I'm hopeful tomorrow. I'm out tomorrow. Musa will be in the captain's chair. Appreciate y'all for hanging out today. If you missed any of the show, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. I am back Monday. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. Shout out to Sagrera Farms Preview and Beef for our Thursday show. Have a great weekend. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star